The opinions expressed in the Brothers-in-Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.
Thanks for tuning into Brothers-in-Law on Go Country 105. I'm Larry Mandel.
And I'm Rob Mandel.
And we've been trial attorneys here in Los Angeles for over 40 years.
On our show, we will discuss current events, talk about legal issues, and have some very entertaining guests stop by. So stay tuned every week for Brothers-in-Law right here on Go Country 105.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Larry Mandel, Brothers-in-Law, and I'm with my brother,
Rob Mandel, right here.
Yeah, and we're here today on Go Country 105. Welcome, everyone.
I love spending my Saturday mornings with my brother.
Wow, he's buttering me up for something. Watch out.
Doing this show, it's so much fun. And, of course, you know, we're launched off of Debbie, the mortgage mom, who's a pro. And we're just fortunate to be here on Go Country 105. We really appreciate it.
And we want to give information, too, and also talk about the
that's
law
why
and
we're
what
here.
we do.
Yeah. What do we do?
We handle accident-related cases, serious injuries, Rob.
I sometimes have a problem calling them accident cases.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel that people are in control of their conduct. And, you know, when you're acting wrongfully or stupidly or thoughtlessly or carelessly, you know, even though you don't intend to harm somebody else, you know, is it really accidental?
It's negligent. It's doing something below the standard of care that a reasonable person under like and similar circumstances would not do.
Oh, my God. That was a very
I know, but that's a legal terminology.
Legal definition.
So,
but, you know,
that's it.
But then sometimes conduct is so bad that there's no way you could call it an accident.
No, it's more intentional.
Yeah.
Which is a segue, kind of what we're going to talk about today, but also I want to reference our previous guest, Larry Backman, who's an attorney that handles criminal defense, and he's also specializing in domestic violence cases. And we had him on the show, and we talked about domestic violence and how crazy it can get and elevates to such a contentious relationship, and then the fallout are the poor kids.
Right. That in these settings, the kids are the true victims, and you know, oftentimes, obviously, if there's a dysfunctional home or violence in the home, there's a divorce, there's separation of this, you know, the family breaks apart. And then at some point, you know, even the bad actor, which I hate to say it, but it's usually the guy, you know, it's usually our special guest who we're about to introduce, she's shaking her head.
Rob.
So maybe it is.
That's a fallacy, a misconception.
So yeah, okay,
there
all right,
go.
I'll own that. But you know, when you have a broken up family and they still want to try to give it a shot and let them have contact, have a meaningful relationship with the children, but sometimes in these settings you got to have somebody oversee this.
Yeah, because it's out of hand, it's way too contentious, and the parents can't get along or can't agree on anything. And so it elevates to this relationship where, you know, they're going to have monitored visitation with the children. And that's why we have our special guest here today, Alison Canetty. And Allison is the CEO of Caring Hands Supervised Visits. Not only does Allison work as a visitation monitor for families, but she trains people to become visitation monitors as well. Welcome, Allison.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So what does a visitation monitor do, basically?
Basically, we have been trained to allow parents to see their children with a monitor. So the judge orders supervised visits for either mother or father, and they're allowed to see their children on a monitor visit. So we can go anywhere from museums to parks to restaurants, but they have to be monitored.
So
you have to be there.
There's
Absolutely.
a meeting place, right?
We actually have a mutual meeting point. So mother brings or father brings the child to the mutual meeting point, neutral, and then the father or mother will come. The non-custodial parent will pick up the children, and from there, the monitor is with that parent the whole entire time. So visits range from 2 to 8 hour days.
Wow.
And we have to be earshot distance the whole entire time we're with this parent. And we are redirecting them during the visits, making sure they're not talking about the other parent. There's a whole...
Really?
Yeah.
So you get into what they can say even.
Oh, yeah.
What necessitates the monitoring like this, the visitation monitoring?
Most of the time it's restraining orders that are put on parents. Domestic violence is most of the time, and a lot of drug issues. When I first started doing this, I thought, oh, fathers, you know. Actually, I have 50-50.
Really? So my preconceived notion obviously was wrong.
Yeah, Allison was shaking her head.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Said that, Rob.
Yeah. But so how did you talk about domestic violence? Can you just elaborate on to how the families get themselves in these positions?
Mess.
Well, to be honest with you, it is like a ripple effect, and a lot of it is a combination between the drugs and violence and anger issues. So the judge, once they're ordered for supervised monitor visits, they kind of almost always have to do a parenting plan, drug testing, a domestic violence classes. So it's a combination of things. And they do take these classes, but do they change? Sometimes.
Have you
Sometimes
had
their
an
behaviors
instance-
change, sometimes they don't.
Have you had instances where you just know they're violating it and you have to like checkmate?
To be honest, I just terminated a visit after a year. And this man has been on supervised monitor visits for 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it ain't changing. And I had to terminate the visit and take the child out of the situation because he just wouldn't stop talking about things he wasn't supposed to talk about.
Like
Bad mouthing the
bashing.
mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how old are we talking? What age are we talking about? Preteen?
This was a 12-year-old girl.
Oh.
And it's really sad because she loves her father. And honestly, it's really probably not going to go anywhere but where it is. And he's frustrated because he doesn't want visits anymore, but you have to comply with what the court asks. And if you don't, you're not going to get your visits lifted.
So, so just to recap for a sec, they get themselves in this position by, doing things that are harmful to themselves first, such as drug use or other substance abuse, right?
Yeah, but
and
it could
then
just
having
be having
anger issues and what?
Yeah. Well, it may not be drug use. It could just be that they're not getting along and they're arguing with each other and they're using the kids as pawns, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
So even if there's not actual violence, if there's just verbal abuse going on, that can still lead to some kind of monitored visitation or loss of custodial rights?
They have to have a kind of like a track record. They have to have proof to bring to court to show this is what's been going on, whether it be through texts or conversations. Verbal abuse, maybe not so much, but could possibly. I've had a case where the parents were so angry with each other. They've been in court for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Thousands and thousands of dollars later, he lost his children and he's going to get them back in about a month and they're going to go back to joint custody. But he had to go through about 6 months of monitor visits. And that's a lot of money alone.
Yeah. And it's all, being childish, it sounds like, themselves.
And, looking back, I've talked to the non-custodial parent, and he did take anger management classes because he did have an altercation with his ex in front of the kids
Nice.
at a Starbucks. And he actually kind of learned his lesson, and I don't think he would have ever learned it if he had to go down that road, even though it was a bad road.
Are
And
you
is
called
there-
to testify at times?
Absolutely.
And so you go to court and you'll say, yeah, the person is not complying with the court order. Do you have a copy of the court order with you?
We actually always have a court order before we even take on the case. So we may or may not even take on the case if it's so high,
Just aggravated type
Yeah.
of thing?
And I imagine there's quite a bit of. I wonder if the resentment, goes your direction. In other words, there's that person that has to be there when I'm
don't-
seeing my kid.
Yeah, I don't want to have somebody intervene while I'm trying to socialize and be with my child.
So how does that work?
Well, first of all, we are neutral, so we never take any sides, and we are basically like a fly on the wall. So we don't really get involved. We kind of let them do their thing. They're the parent. They have to know how to be a parent when we're not there anymore. So we do take reports, and we write down everything that goes on the whole entire time. And then we do submit those to the lawyers, and if they order reports, they get reports. But when we go to court, we have to basically state the truth, and it's nothing in our opinion we can ever say, oh, we think they're doing great. Well, show proof of that.
We're Larry and Rob Mandel, the brothers-in-law, here on Go Country 105. Do you have a legal issue you need help with? We want to hear from you.
Find us on Instagram and send us a message. Then tune in on Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Go Country 105.
Is there a story you can tell us about without violating any privacy where you've had to testify and it's been a very strange situation?
Well, honestly, the testifying, the ones that I have done so far, they've been pretty straightforward. But the things that the wife or the ex-wife was accusing the father of, I was kind of shocked.
Such as?
Like narcissist, the whole list. And to be honest, I was on the stand, and by mistake they left the report there, and I was trying not to look at it, and I was, oh my God, if I would have seen this case before I took on the case, I probably would have never taken the case. And it turns out he was the nicest guy ever. And most of these parents are amazing with their children. They bring art projects, and they're over and above. I know they're trying to please, the child because they haven't seen him in a while, but they really, most of my cases have been pretty good. I've had a couple crazy cases where I had to terminate, but for the most part, these parents want to be with their children.
So they're making amends to some degree.
Yes.
Well, they're learning a hard lesson.
Yeah.
They are.
Right? They're learning that they got to put the kids first. And even if they're not getting along with each other, that has to if they're going to don't want to be with each other anymore, fine. Work it out and share the custody or whatever and go through the normal channels. But if you're going to be crazy and you're going to throw tantrums or you're going to use violence or anger in the mix to solve your problem, forget it. Then
Right.
you're going to lose the most precious thing in your life, which is your time with your kid.
Yeah.
So when is your responsibility to kind of step in, like during the visitation, where you just say, all right, this person is crossing the line?
Well, they actually have to sign a contract, so they know the rules going in. And if they do not abide by the rules, then I step in. So if they can't take pictures on the visits,
I didn't know that.
They can't talk about the other parent. Obviously, they can't talk about the case. They can't promise the kid anything. They can't say, "Oh, we're going to go here next year and we're going to do this."
Disneyland.
Yeah, can't do any of that. So we have to kind of redirect them in a nice way, and we put that in the report. So if they keep doing it over and over again, it's showing that they're not complying, they're not listening.
Huh.
So what would be a typical visit? Give us an example.
Well, I actually went to Universal Studios the other day
Nice.
on a visit.
And you got to take rides and stuff as you're watching the visitation process?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because she wanted to go on a ride, and it was a 2-seater, so we couldn't do that because we have to all be together.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so you can't let them go off on their own at all. But I've gone boating. I've gone lots of movies. I've seen Lion King like 3 times.
3? I tried 3 with my kids. I thought like 300. But so who's paying for this then?
The non-custodial parent.
Oh.
But possibly if the judge orders both the parents to split it, they will have to. And a lot of times the judge will order that when they think, you know what, I don't really think this non-custodial parent needs monitor visits because it seems like he's okay, but they put it on it anyways just to be safe, because if it comes back to the judge that he didn't do it and something happened to that child, then someone's in trouble. So that's where they would put both parents to pay for the.
I see.
Have you suffered or been injured by someone else's negligence? When you need a legal team that will stand up for what is right, won't give up the fight and obtain justice, call 818-886-6600. Mandel Trial Lawyers specializes in personal injury cases of all types. Whether it's a car accident, product or premises liability, dog bite, or a catastrophic injury, Mandel Trial Lawyers are there for you when the fight is worth it. Call now for your free consultation. 818-886-6600. Let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
So do you have a certain amount of responsibility? Let's say you see something that's really, exacerbated or really bad. Do you have that responsibility to report it?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the job? That's the job.
Well, no, I mean, she's monitoring stuff, but I mean, legally,
We're-
she has a responsibility to report it. I'm talking about legal stuff, Rob.
Well, we're mandated reporters, yes. So we have to report anything that we see, any abuse,
Right.
anything.
That's why she's there. That's the very reason why she's there.
Well,
And to be
Got it.
honest, the custodial parents are just as difficult as the non-custodial parents.
I can imagine. Give us an example, though.
Gosh. Okay. So, one of my custodial parents, when we drop off the child, she literally strips the child down to make sure everything's good going on. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Well, how
And-
old are we talking about?
15 months old, and then she has a list of questions for me. I said, I'm so sorry, you have to order the report for that. They're calling me all the time, and they do get a little over
tripping.
the top. Yeah,
They be
it's all
tripping.
about control. A
Yeah.
lot of these situations is just who can control who.
That's
Right.
too bad. That's where, again, it's more childishness on the part of the parent than
And
the
it
child.
negatively affects the children. They have
Yeah.
the parents have to really keep that in mind. Am I negatively affecting the child
And
just because of my
sometimes-
own agenda?
And these parents sometimes are too selfish. For example, my kid's father actually got supervised visits. That's how I got involved with all this.
I see.
And he doesn't see his kids now. It's been almost 2 years because he refuses to pay a monitor.
I see.
Oh, that's too bad.
So the judge ordered him to have monitored visitation, and he said, "Hey, forget about it. I'm
Well,
just
he's
gonna-"
like, it's. I'm not going to pay someone to see my kids.
Yeah.
So that's the choice.
Pride.
It's either have it monitored or no visitation.
Right. And this
Yeah.
is not. It sounded from what you were telling us before that it's more often than not a temporary thing, or not.
Depending on the case.
Depending on the
It really
case.
is. I
So
mean,
some are
cases-
permanent and some are
yeah, some are. Well,
temporary.
mine was actually open-ended, no end in sight.
Yeah.
Some are, when they have attorneys, it's usually, okay, we're going to give you 6 months, do this. If you get it done, then we'll revisit it. And if you've done everything you're supposed to do, a judge is not going to keep a father or a mother away from their child if they're doing
Right.
what they're supposed to do.
Stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, brothersonlaw.com.
So the lesson to be learned, among other things, is if you're not getting along and you just cause this to snowball, it's going to cost a lot of money between lawyer fees and monitoring and all these things that are connected with that, and court
And all the extra trips to Universal Studios to boot.
Well, that's
Right.
okay. Maybe 3 Lion Kings.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
budget
Three
that.
Lion Kings.
Yeah.
So
I hear
the company
you're-
is called Caring Hands Supervised Visits. Now, so you're a private company, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how is it that a judge or a non-custodial parent will pick you? How does that come about?
Well, because I've been doing it for quite a while, my name is kind of known out there. So either they Google or they go to a list. There's a supervised visitation list.
I see.
I come up. And then I'm also very much involved with the foster care. So I have a lot of connection with social workers, and they just call me up when they need a monitor.
So you're a foster mom.
I am.
How is that being a foster mom?
I love it. It's amazing, but it's a lot of work.
So tell us about that. Then how'd you get involved in that?
One day I heard about it and I said, I want another kid, and I don't want to do it on my own on my own. I don't want to have another C-section. So
Okay.
I ended up,
On
I ended up taking the classes, and a year later, I had my first little kid in my home. I had him for 18 months. He went back to his mom, and they do get visits too, which is interesting. They get supervised visits,
Oh.
and but it's through the county, and the county doesn't have enough workers to monitor visits. So it's another reason why I decided to do this. And right now I have 2 infants. And
As
Really?
in foster care with you.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness!
So-
And
Good
is
for
that a
you.
permanent thing?
No, it runs about 18 months.
Oh.
If the parents are not complying and they lose their rights, then I do have a chance to adopt,
Oh, I see.
or they go back in the system.
So now it sounds like, oh wow, now that could be pretty gut wrenching because
Yeah.
you're going to attach to these kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to attach to you. So how do you deal with that?
It's hard. It really is hard, but then you know why you're doing it, because for that temporary time that I have them, whether it's 4 months or 18 months, we're giving them all the love and attention that they would have never gotten where they were.
So you're impacting their life in a positive
Correct.
way, and that's what makes you feel
Yes.
great about it. Well,
Yeah.
So you and I'm
Good
reading.
for you.
I'm reading here that Allison also runs cooking classes for several schools for kids at after-school programs, and in addition to being a foster mom, tell us about all that.
So cooking, I love cooking, and I love teaching healthy meals for kids. And I am vegan, but I do a lot of vegetarian meals. And I started this about 3 years ago at the after-school program at the school that I'm at, and now I'm involved with all the YMCA's in Torrance. And we did
Really?
a camp this summer, a week camp of cooking. We did an entree, a dessert, and a drink every day.
Nice.
And they're learning healthy eating.
Wow. What healthy versus what? What, like, give us an example. Like the cheeseburger would be
No
on
hot
one end.
dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cheeseburger and the hot dog will be on one end. What do you got?
We do potato pot stickers. We do
Okay.
we do pad thai.
Oh yeah, pad thai is good.
They love that. We do a miso soup ramen, but it's all ramen, like the fresh ramen. Like we make our own broth.
Yeah.
So it's not those packaged. So we teach them how to do that. We've done what else we've done? Obviously, smoothies are great for kids to learn. I'm trying to think.
This is all good stuff for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everybody, really.
So clearly, she is not just well equipped to be a monitor and oversee these visits, but also to be a foster mom and to just give all around loving care to
Super
kids.
well-rounded.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All good stuff. So
Yeah.
let's say that there's some person in our audience finds themselves in this unfortunate position, and either through it's the
Court ordered. Or
right
whatever.
court order or whatever, and now they need monitored visits. How do they find you?
Caring Hands, supervisedvisits.com.
Caring Hands, supervisedvisits.com.
Yes.
Is there a phone number or mainly through the internet?
The website has all the info. Yes.
I see. All right. Well.
Right, and
thank
so you
Allison.
can't go wrong with Allison, right?
No. Yeah. It's for all the. Yeah.
I mean, no, really. Let's face it. There's a lot of stress on everybody these days. Everyone's fighting stress, and so sometimes that breaks up a family. At least for a while. And sometimes, unfortunately, permanently. And then if there is, just these unfortunate circumstances where people need to learn or relearn how to be a parent, how to be, a good human, and give everyone a break, and hopefully, you get back in the mix of it. At some point, and you can see, not have a supervised visit. But in the meantime, you got someone like Allison who's, can be on your team.
For
really.
a cooling off
Yeah.
period, hopefully.
Right,
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay, but Rob, now we're going to switch to a tip of the day,
All
which
right.
you probably already know, but maybe some of our listeners don't.
Okay.
According to California state law, children must be seated in the rear seat of a vehicle in an appropriate car seat or booster seat until they're 8 years old or 4 feet 9 inches tall.
Oh,
Children,
man.
yeah.
I still need a booster seat.
Well, we know that, Rob. But anyway, here's a boost for you. But anyway, children must remain in a rear-facing car seat until they weigh 40 pounds or more, or at least 40 inches tall.
Really?
Yeah. And
40 inches seems tall for a rear-facing
know.
seat. I don't think I ever did that with my kid.
Hey, here's another.
I mean, when they were little, when they
Yeah.
were infants, but
Yeah.
40 inches is
Yeah.
more than, that's 3.5 feet tall.
Allison,
Yeah.
do you see people drive out with their kids and they're not in a car seat? Is it
Oh,
like,
my
oh my
gosh.
God, what are you doing?
One of my foster parents,
my
they were
God.
dropping off their kid, and he was seatbelted laying in the back seat of the car. I thought I was going to lose my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Not
How
good.
old?
too.
Oh yeah.
Bad. Hey, so but there is another little tip on this, Rob.
What's
You know,
that?
when we handle accidents, if the accident there's a car seat in the collision, then the seat is automatically now null and void. They have to replace the car seat.
Right, kind of like a bicycle helmet.
Right.
You know, once it's used in some kind of crash, boom, you got to
Could be
replace.
compromised, yeah. So
Right.
people should know that.
Yeah, could be compromised. Right?
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
So
Here, I want Allison to answer this, but go ahead, Robert.
you go
It's
ahead.
true. In New York City, it's illegal for a restaurant to serve an alcoholic beverage before 10 a.m. on Sunday. Is that true or false? What do you think, Allison?
True.
And it is
Yay!
true.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't be drunk in New York City before 10 a.m.
I
on
guess they
Sunday.
don't.
Now wait a
You're
minute.
falling on the street.
I want
early.
to. This can't be right. And I, with all due deference to Cam, because I've been in New York City on a Saturday night at 3 a.m. and had me a drink. Now
Well, they
that's
make-
technically Sunday before 10 a.m.
Yeah, but you know what? They make exceptions for alcoholics like
well,
you, Rob.
yeah. Come on. New York City goes 24 hours 7. I think that would be almost impossible to enforce that rule in New York City.
It does seem kind of weird,
Yeah.
I guess, but you just can't order a drink.
But here in L.A., what's the deal here in L.A.? I think L.A. is 24/7. You want to be, but let's all be careful drinking,
and especially no driving.
right? And especially
Drinking and
around your
driving.
kids, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you don't end
Oh.
up needing Allison.
Have people
You know.
come to the monitoring like under the influence?
Right.
Oh
right.
no, that's
Yeah.
two. That too,
Yeah.
Allison. Oh, man, that's bad.
Hey, producer Cam says we have a message in the Mandel message box.
Let's check the Mandel message box.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Rob. This is Sandra calling. I had a question. My child has been giving me such a hard time when I drop him off to go into daycare, and it started to get really concerning, so I put a nanny cam in his backpack, and when he came home from daycare, I saw that one of the staff members had been talking really bad, profanity, and just talking horribly to my child. I want to know, am I able legally to use the tape in court to show what's been going on in this daycare?
A child didn't want. Now we're talking about kids again, right? We went from alcohol to kids, so a child didn't want to go to a daycare camp anymore. Mom put nanny cam in a teddy bear. The bear caught the daycare teacher speaking horribly to the child and other children. No physical abuse, but very bad verbal language. Can she use it in court?
Is there an element of privacy? Is it an invasion of privacy, or does it overweigh that because you've got some kind of abuse there, so you can still use it in court? What do you think, Rob?
Well, I guess I'm still wondering what the issue is in court is about, because I understand that you don't want your kid in a place where someone's going to speak horribly to your kid, but if you see that on your teddy bear cam or whatever, then you move the kid out of that camp and just don't go back.
Yeah, you just
I don't know
fire
what
the person.
I don't know what the lawsuit would be about. Other than
Maybe if the child
you
was
wanna try and-
traumatized.
yeah, it could
Okay.
be. Could
Even
be that it
without
was so
physical
horribly,
abuse, yeah.
it was so bad that the kid is now, psychologically damaged, and you want to pursue that. I don't know,
I
Bill,
think that
about
would
the
be-
privacy thing. I'd have to look it up. But I would think that in your home, it's at the daycare camp?
Then
Oh no, it's a nanny. It's a nanny. So, what do you think, Allison?
Well, I was actually at the police station doing an exchange because that's what we do also. So parents who can't even take their child from one parent to another, we actually are the middle person.
Right.
And they said the non-custodial parent can film us, like if I'm walking up, and they are allowed to film us actually.
Right.
But I didn't know that. But if they sign my contract, they cannot.
So I guess if there's an expectation of privacy, I don't know if there is in this context, though. That's a tough
You're in
one.
someone else's home and you're dealing with their kids. I would think that they have that right to have the cameras. Now, do they have to tell you they have the cameras? That's
I don't
another
think so.
issue.
If
Probably
you know,
not.
if they know that there's cameras on them, they're not going to,
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with a
Be
kid.
wrong.
You're relinquishing control of your child to someone who's supposed to be good with kids, and it turns out they're not. That's not a good thing. All right, so
Oh, well.
that about wraps up our show for today. We've had a lot of fun and great information talking to Alison Canetty and we thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, it's been our pleasure. So if you've missed any part of the show or you want to hear some previous shows, head on over to brothersonlaw.com. And be sure to tune in next Saturday morning at 8 a.m. for another exciting show right here on Go Country 105. And remember,
let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
The opinions expressed in the Brothers on Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.